guys, it's Jen here at Check Her Joy, and this time I'm doing another batch of graphic novels that I read. Right now I'm in graphic novel reading mode. For some reason I don't want to look at a page that's just text. My brain's just not focusing on that. Um, so here are 4 new graphic novels. I'll post all the names, authors, illustrators down in the description below. And I'm going to try to annotate these if I remember, so if you want to watch just the review for one of these, you can do that also. The books are LDeFo by Cece Bell, Husbands by Brad Bell and Jane Epson, Jughead by Chip Zdarsky and Erica Henderson, and Huck by Mark Millar, Rafael, Albuquerque, and Dave McKeag. Sorry if I mispronounced any of those names, but I think I did pretty good, probably. Okay. These are simply in the order in which I've read them, so yeah. So LDeFo is a graphic memoir by Cece Bell. It tells the story of how she got sick when she was young, 4 years old, and lost her hearing. She doesn't go completely deaf. Like, she can hear within a certain frequency, but without a hearing aid, she can't hear. With a hearing aid, she is learning to cope. So it goes through the time she's 4, kindergarten, into like elementary school, as she learns how to deal with this. And the title LDeFo refers to this superpower she finds out she has at school. The hearing aid she uses at school is this like high tech one, which really helps a lot. Like, her teacher has to wear a microphone, which then gets whatever the microphone is picking up, then gets sent directly to her hearing aid, which makes it a lot easier for her to listen in class and follow what's going on. But it also has a really high range, like blocks away. So wherever the teacher is in the school, she can hear what's going on, whether the teacher is in the bathroom or the teacher's lounge, and she hears the teacher like having conversations about the kids, and she's like, this is like a superpower, knowing what the teacher's doing at all times and hearing all these conversations that children aren't supposed to hear. And so she deems herself LDeFo, which is really cute. And she has all these like imagined adventures where she's off with her friends. So a large part of this book is also her dealing with the hearing loss and wearing a hearing aid, and how it's not foolproof. Sometimes words that sound alike are kind of indistinguishable. And so she learns early on how to pick up context clues about what they're talking about, and to lip read, and also how annoying it can be when somebody's yelling and you can't lip read as well anymore, or someone's trying to talk slowly and it distorts the facial expressions. And also how it's really hard to watch television, apparently, because you can't lip read as well. Distant shots, you can't see the mouth as well, which makes it hard. There's a note at the end from the author about how these are only her specific dealings with being deaf and having hearing loss, and that isn't everyone's experience, that there are things like sign language that some people choose to learn, and there's like a deaf community and deaf culture, and just because she's not part of that doesn't mean it's the only, like, hers is the only way, but this is how she dealt with it, and how her family did. There's also the theme of friendship in here, as she tries to find different friends, and some of her friends like her for who she is and think she's awesome. Some of the people around her, like her classmates, shy away from her because she has a hearing aid, and some of them want to hang out with her specifically because she has a hearing aid and she's special. And some of these are like, oh, that's so sweet that so-and-so really wants to hang out with her. And other of these kids, you're like, oh, so-and-so is taking advantage of her. That's not cool. The book's really funny and sweet, colorful, it's light. I love the drawings. They look like characters out of Arthur, as far as I'm concerned, or Richard Scarry. Here's the phase when she was 4, when all she wanted to do was wear her swimsuit. And when she first got sick. Um, so I really love this book. It was really fun to read. Um, I mean, it's really light and fun while still dealing with something that's kind of difficult. So LDeFo's definitely 5 stars, and you guys should totally go check this one out. Next up, I have Husbands by Brad Bell and Jane Espenson. This is apparently based off of a web series, which I didn't know when I was going into this. The web series is also called Husbands, and it's about this one gay couple, Cheeky, who is a famous actor who starts dating Brad, who's a famous baseball player. And one night they get really drunk and they get married in Las Vegas. And they're one of the very first gay couples, married couples, and so they have tons of media attention between that and them already being famous. And so they feel like they have to stick this out. Like they can't just get an annulment because they were drunk. Um, I watched the web series after reading this comic, and it is really funny and ridiculous, um, but I liked it. This graphic novel totally worked without having watched the web series. If you guys haven't seen it, it's totally fine. What happens in the graphic novel is that they have gotten all these wedding presents. They're famous, so people are just sending them gifts, and somebody sends them this magic book. And when they open it, they get transported into all these different stories. 6 of them, to be exact, to match the 6 different issues in the story. And each story has its own like genre or story like basis. So like one of them is a fairy tale with one of the guys being trapped in a tower and the other needing to go save him. Um, and they're all just like twists like that, but focusing on this relationship. And when they enter the story, they forget everything about their previous lives and what they've learned in the previous stories and have to find each other again. And in each story, they learn a new lesson, which is funny and absurd, like the situations they're getting into, and also cool to see the adaptations of these otherwise genres that we're otherwise used to and seeing how they play out when both the characters are men. So one of the stories takes place in space and they're fighting a space war with robots. Another story is set in like the Archie comics in a high school, and having this one boy trying to break them up and all the teenage drama from that. We have a Victorian murder mystery going on in one of them. Each of the stories have different artists, so the art in the different stories don't always match. There's quite a bit of them not wearing shirts and stuff, but nothing like explicit in these. So if you're really offended by drawings of men's chests, that's kind of awkward, I guess. But they also have their drunk best friend who shows up in all their adventures. Here's the fairy tale one. It's just fun to see like how they play off these different genres and to see their relationship. Because I hadn't watched this show, sometimes it was hard to figure out which guy was which immediately, since they're both white guys with brown hair. And it's not always the same artists, so. But got there in the end, and it was totally, it's worth it. Yeah, this was silliness, and I loved it very much. Next up, I have Jughead Comics. This is volume 1 by Zdarsky and Erica Henderson. I've gone through and read the other new Archie ones, so eventually I had to get to Jughead. So the Jughead stories are really fun, as to be expected from Jughead as character. Half of these stories, roughly half, happen in the high school, and they're starting a new year, and they have a new principal and new teachers, and the new principal is incredibly strict. And Jughead's like, all right, well, we can go along with this, until he gets to the cafeteria, and they're being served scientifically modified gruel for lunch, and Jughead's like, that's not food. And if you guys don't know Jughead, he is obsessed with food. Like that's his main thing. Is Jughead is always eating and he never has money, so he's always trying to get other people to buy him food for him, pay for his milkshakes that he's already drunk in exchange for his scintillating conversation. So the very first issue is Jughead trying to come up with a way to like get good food in the cafeteria for lunch. Um, and the other part of the story are these imaginative adventures he has while he starts daydreaming. The first one involves him having to go on a quest in this medieval village to slay a dragon so that he can get a never ending supply of hamburgers. Um, these are silly and fun, and I love Jughead as a character. Jughead also openly admits that he's asexual in these comics, which I totally love. No teenage drama from Jughead, at least not on the romantic side. Jughead's also really smart and clever, and he gets good grades, but he also knows exactly how to bend the rules. Like, he knows how to get around them without technically breaking the rules and finding any loophole he can, which I love about him. It's definitely entertaining. Jughead is one of my favorite characters in the Archie comics, so yay for him having his own adventures. I loved it so much. This is issues 1 through 6. I didn't say that yet, so ta-da. Okay, next up we have Huck, book 1 by Mark Millar, Rafael, Albuquerque, and Dave McKeag. So this is issues 1 through 6 of this comic series. They focus on Huck, who, let's see, the tagline is, "What if the person you least expected had an amazing secret?" So Huck works in this gas station in, I think, a small town. And he's just this nice guy. He's really sweet. He has this goal that he is going to do one good deed every day. So he's trying to help everybody else out. And he is slow. He isn't as like mentally with it as everybody else, but he's totally nice, and I love his character. He also has really amazing super strength and speed, and he's really good at like climbing and swimming, and has like superpowers, like exaggerated traits to the point that he becomes a superhero. Um, and he also has the ability to find things that are missing. If you've lost it, Huck can probably find it. So I love Huck as a character and the way that he's just trying to help everybody out, the way he sees the world. He's very optimistic, kind of innocent, but it's really sweet as a character. Um, One day, however, somebody decides to tell the world about how awesome Huck is, and all this media attention comes like swarming down on him, and Huck kind of doesn't quite see it as quite a big deal as everybody else around him, but the town is like trying to protect him and keep him out of the media spotlight. It's kind of sad to see it when like the whole world's attention comes down on Huck, but at the same time, it's cool to see how he deals with it and just takes it in stride and sees it for good. There's also a plot line in here because Huck is an orphan of him trying to find his mother, and where she is and where Huck came from is this huge secret that I don't want to spoil, but I enjoyed that journey also. Um, so Huck is an amazing comic. I didn't know what to expect of it because there really wasn't much out there saying exactly what happens, because that would be a huge and massive spoiler. But this comic is sweet and still has the superhero aspect to it. There's still fighting and adventures going on here, but through like a different lens, which I love about it. It's perfect. Definitely 5 stars, and you guys should go read Huck. So there is my graphic novel review for these books. If you've read any of these, let me know in the comments below. If you think there's a comic or graphic novel that I should be reading, also let me know and I will at least consider it. Yeah, I liked all of these. There wasn't like a bad apple in here, so that was good. Yeah. Peace out, guys. I love you, and keep reading. Bye.